think it was just yesterday. And they were talking about a report of a missing $300 billion, unremitted $300 billion by the Nigerian NNPC. That's your crude oil money. Do you know where the money is? Because these guys are looking for it.
An interim report of the ad hoc committee on crude oil theft, on the investigation of the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta and its actors. Mr. President, thank you. That the federal government should mandate the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, to strictly enforce internationally acceptable crude oil measurement standards at all production sites and export terminals, or restore back to the Weights and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to the upstream sector.
This is still an interim report. The final report is not here, but from the interim report, the ad hoc committee's recommendation on the fact that we should trace, track, and recover oil proceeds of stolen crude oil transaction. Mr. President, as forensic review by the consultant shows over $22 billion, $81 billion, and $200 billion. Mr. President, this fund that is mentioned in this report, if you look at it, all put together, we are talking about $300 billion. And it is expected that the consultant that handled this should come up with the detailed list of those that are involved in these kind of actions, so that we can start from there by one, looking at how they arrived at this to defraud the country to the sum of $300 billion.
Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. First of all, let me say this is a very detailed report, but this is a report that we should take our time, look at it, look at the findings. In view of the findings, whether or not the recommendation tallies with the findings. You look at page 30, foreign recovery. It goes, analysis of document by A.G. Abonyama, a consultant to the committee, revealed a total shortfall of $81 billion between expected receipts of crude proceeds declared by the NNPC DPR in 2016 and in 2017, and receipts declared by CBI respectively. Also based on interim investigation of crude sales from 2015 to date, other investigation by the international consultant in the United Kingdom and Canada, the committee projects the discovery of $200 billion of unaccounted crude oil sales proceeds, which require further investigation and recovery.
Senate, or indeed the National Assembly, doesn't have the constitutional latitude or empowered by any law of the Federation to go and collect money from anybody. Ours is to produce a report and then send it to the executive arm of government. And then the president, who is the head of the executive arm of government, may choose to use the consultants or EFCC or whatever, or the police to recover these funds. But it's not within our latitude, our legal mandate.
Deputy Senate President, to commend the Committee on Reparation and then the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Crude Oil Theft, headed by our brother, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, for this interim report. I believe it's a step in the right direction. So we will not go into the full prayers until we have the full report before us. But
how many times would they tell you before you know that Nigeria is not for you? Now they never leave you. They have left you behind. Photo, not be juju be that. Sorry, oh. May God not allow them, make them kill you. 70 years old man. Oh. Now mumu na too much. You be mumu. You think say they wise.
The way APC is running Nigeria is so diabolical that many actually believe that they use juju. Because you hear some ridiculous things and you expected the people to be so alarmed and enraged. They will just be like, now wow, eh? Can you imagine? Hey, all those reactions, none of them is ever really put into use per se, just reaction. They are coming to steal our resources. America is coming to come and steal our resources. The one that you actually have no clue of, you have no idea of. You are an oil producing country, and you are also the poverty capital of the world. The criminals who are stealing these hundreds of billions of dollars worth of your own resources, they are telling you they are being poor is because the resources is not enough. Your population is too big. Oh, look at the Qatar. What is the population of Qatar? Qatar is no more than Bayelsa. What is the population of UAE? What is the population of Saudi? Let's be honest. The resources is not enough. People need to But hundreds of billions of dollars worth of your resources are leaving the shores of Nigeria every year into the private pocket of these rogues and their international collaborators. But you are shouting, our oil, our oil. These criminals spent $3.5 billion loan. They borrowed the money. $3.5 billion in rehabilitating your refineries. Then they came up, they said, oh, it's working now. Everything is working. Only for it to shut down a week later for another maintenance. Oh, then they put them up for sale. Then they took them off the sale list that we're not selling them anymore. Now they are putting the Port Harcourt refinery back on sale. $1.5 billion. Come and buy this crap. The same refinery, they spent $1.7 billion in fixing as recent as March this year. So if shame gets name, it should be those of you who have been sort of like tuned into a machine of a Dumbo, walking Dumbos. You don't have the resources. It's not yours. You need to go to the areas where they're actually drilling this oil and wish that you are proud to actually be an oil producing country. The areas where these people live, where all the environment have become so destroyed, they are still begging government to please fulfill their promise of cleaning their areas. Clean the areas so that we can farm and fish. And it remains a pipe dream promises from government to government to government. The degradation continues. People keeps dying in their young ages of like undescribable causes, right? But the dollars, the oil keeps pumping. And these guys keep piling to the bank, right? Telling you that it is your oil, it is your resources. So you want to come for your resources. What about other things they are taking from you? That if you have the data, how would you react? Obviously nothing. You'll do nothing, right? Right. Now let's go back to these killings, okay? So Tinubu's government, yesterday, they were busy. They called all of the ambassadors, diplomats, foreign diplomats to Nigeria, in their way of explaining to them that, listen, this Donald Trump is wrong. There's no genocide here. We are progressing. It's because the economy is moving now. Everything is getting better. That's why America hates Nigeria. America wants to stop the progress of Nigeria. I was like, what are you talking about? What progress is that exactly? So they called the diplomat to explain to them. I won't bore you with a lot of what they say, but I just want to give you the show, the scene, what it looked like, explained themselves yesterday. And today, Donald Trump is already finalized what is going to happen next. And you get to see.
To reduce the import dependency and improve the trade balance, compliance, expanding the tax base and enhancing collection efficiency to increase the tax to GDP stability depends on diversification beyond oil. To this end, energy sector reform. Crude oil production has risen above 1.6 million barrels per day, has also restored upstream investment confidence by improving fiscal terms and encouraging gas commercialization. Nigeria crude debt. The Dangote
They do shalaye. You know, they are doing shalaye to the foreign diplomats who obviously have everything about the country on their desk. Yeah, that's why they are there, to gather information about Nigeria, what is real and what is not. So APC, Egbekegbe also sent Felix Moka, their spokesperson, to arise to go do some spinning on this subject. Here is Felix Moka, brethren. And also Dele Alakori too, but Moka first.
I'm not sure that I would characterize it as such. The announcement by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, yes, is of concern to everyone, of concern to us, of concern to, and should be of concern to every Nigerian, for sure. But I'm not sure that, I have taken the time to reckon whether this is the most difficult challenge that the APC has faced, because beyond the mention by the President of the US, nothing has happened to suggest that this is really an existential crisis. Now, let me just say that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on top of this matter. I think we all listened to the address by the Honorable Minister of Information, where he was laying out some of the government's thinking and position on this matter. And I think that usually, under international relations and international law, matters like this are dealt, behind in the back channels between the governments involved. In this case, our government and the government of the United States. Look, I am very certain that when, this, proposed threat by the US President is subjected to proper evaluation and analysis, I don't have any doubt that, it will not, by their own standard, pass every test or any test of reasonableness. Because, the facts on which this suggestion is made, is flawed. It doesn't pan out in reality. There's no, Christian genocide occurring in Nigeria. Charles, you and I have had this conversation, over the, last couple of years. And no one denies that we are challenged by insecurity, largely unleashed by, these forces of terror who, I think, make capital and make, just sadism out of, slaughtering people, especially defenseless people. But I think that the government of Nigeria has also been very vehement in responding to these threats. So, for me, as an international law expert and someone who was trained in the United States and who understands US, legal system, especially their constitutional system, I think I'm probably one of the last people to worry or to freak out about this, situation we're discussing, because I know the US is, a democratic country, with reasonable and reasonably managed, institutions that will weigh in on this. When the facts are put on the table, they will find that the Nigerian state has never been a participant in any program of violence targeted at Christians or anyone else for that matter in the country. They have not. Now, yes, admittedly, the violence we have all witnessed, my earpiece is not staying, so my apologies. The violence we've witnessed has mostly been conducted by non-state actors. These are not Nigerian, military forces that are targeting Nigerians, whether Christians or Muslims. But the facts are that, yes, there's violence perpetrated mostly by, terror organizations and groups, in the country, especially in the northern, parts of our country. But they have also been the target of very serious program of military response and action to defeat terror. Now, at this point, I think that the U.S. government clearly, as in a standing, as perhaps some would say, the leaders of the free world, have a responsibility to work with the Nigerian government, to strategically partner with the Nigerian government, share whatever intelligence that they have to support the Nigerian government to defeat this common enemy, of terror. Now, let me say this, Charles, before you jump in again, and I appreciate you giving me this time to say this. Now, can you imagine? We're already dealing with, this act of terror. Can you imagine what would happen if the United States entered into this theater without guidance, without proper partnership with the Nigerian government? Now, the consequence of that prospective action will not, be contained in Nigeria. Now, what happens in a country of over 200 million people? Should this violence escalate to the point where we begin to really, push refugees out of this country? This will destabilize every country around this region. And the United States itself will not be spared by the pressure that will be unleashed from, really creating an environment where Nigerians feel that they're unsafe and have to then push out of Nigeria. I'm sure that the United States and President Trump is not about to begin a program that will in fact create, proper destabilization, not just in Nigeria, but in neighboring countries, but for that matter, Europe and even Northern America will, I think.
He has no job.
Babawiri. Felix. So you can explain yourself. You are not throwing punches. You're not threatening. The Felix Moka that I know would have actually threatened Donald Trump directly by using the same verbals and all that. Sure you get. Now everybody knows that there is problem. And they are trying to pretend that it is not that serious. America will still reason. Don't worry. You're talking about Nigerians being displaced and becoming refugees in another country. Is Nigerian government aware that there are over 300,000 Nigerians who are refugees in Cameroon? Is Nigerian government aware that there are nearly 500,000 Nigerian refugees in Niger Republic? Is Nigeria aware that as recent as last year, one of your states in Nigeria had to negotiate with Chad in taking back over 250,000 Nigerians who have run to Chad? There are Nigerians who are refugees in Benin Republic as we speak. So what is he talking about? Who are those who chase those people away? Who are these killers? How many of them are currently standing trial or convicted as captured? You criminals are bragging, especially that Borno governor. They have rehabilitated over 200,000 repentant terrorists. Terrorists that kidnapped children when they were in their diapers, raped them. They then returned 10 years later, and the government of Nigeria is welcoming them as terrorists and their families. and their wives. They are calling these children, these victims with 2, 3 children, kids. They are calling these children wives of the repentant terrorists. All those crimes are staring everybody in the face right there. And you think the rest of the world is probably never going to notice? So now they are talking about Nigeria being destabilized. Okay, it's got sense. I mean, it's got kind of point there when he said, you see, if America entered Nigerian theater this way, right, unguided, so they may end up escalating the whole thing. Maybe it's got a point. So that's why Nigeria should